We're now going into week 2. My question to you guys is, how are we feeling about Edge of Fate? The entirety of the expansion so far. Granted, we still have like Ash and Iron and all that stuff, but going into week 2, we've experienced the campaign, the narrative, the destination abilities. We've experienced the power grind. We've experienced the stat distribution changes, the armor changes, and the raid, of course. Can I get a poll on this? A lot of people are throwing their answers in here. I'm really curious. How are we feeling about Edge of Fate? 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 10. So if everyone can contribute to that poll, that would be really helpful. I'm just curious what's going on, what you guys are feeling right now. And then I'm going to talk about the highs, but also the lows of this expansion for myself. Let me also preface this by saying we're talking about this right now during downtime before Tuesday's reset. I personally don't really know what the week to week is going to be in terms of content. The poll results are speaking right now, though. 54% say 7 to 8, 29% 5 to 6, 7% 9 to 10, 7% 3 to 4, with 3% following 1 to 2. All right, so let me go ahead and go over the 3 lows right now for the expansion so far. Number 1, without a doubt, the technical difficulties, the audio issues, the bugs, the stats not being what it's supposed to be in game, the crashes. Hell, even in the day 1 raid, you would rally at your rally flag and your abilities would not top off. We would then have to re-instance the raid. A lot of technical problems, more so than normal. The only thing I can say that's good is we've been able to play the game. For the most part, we've been able to play the game. And I know that's such a low bar, but considering like Final Shape and Lightfall, where we get booted, or Vow the Disciple, when people were getting booted out of the raid day 1. Again, the bare minimum is the game should be working and should be working properly. But for whatever reasons, the audio issues on like console specifically, which I think some of them have been addressed, it's a problem. And I even noticed it when doing the raid. I would be shooting with certain weapons and it was kind of jarring. I wouldn't be able to hear the audio from my guns. I don't know if anyone else run that, but like my guns just weren't making noise when I was shooting them. And specifically in damage phases too at times. And I was like, the hell's up with this? And it only happened with certain encounters. So yes, pain point number 1, big technical issues, stat issues, hidden nerfs that weren't disclosed, that I don't think that, Bungie's come forward and said they weren't necessarily hiding them. But I will say the patch that rolled out last week was the largest patch Bungie has ever done, even larger than that in Forsaken. So some things slid underneath the radar. Pain point number 2. I'm still on the fence about this one, and it's the difficulty of the expansion. More specifically, the sponginess of enemies and bosses, primarily during Mythic Kepler. The reason why I'm on the fence of this is like, I personally just don't like the dial being turned and just having enemies just be like super spongy. If anything, I'd just rather more add density, shooting the same enemy forever and ever. There's going to be the crowd that says just get a better build, and that's going to be what I try to do this week. Is like, is there a way in which we can dominate mythic content? I don't know. I don't know if every one of my builds are always going to feel like shit or not, because I have not achieved high enough gear tier, not gear level, but gear tier, in order to have the best, most optimal stat distributions and loadouts. You know what I mean? I think if there's an emphasis on this, is that primary weapons in general just feel bad. There's a reason why people run double special. They just feel bad. In the middle of contest mode, the final encounter, it was more advantageous for me to run around with a glaive and rock double special than it was for me to use a primary, which I mean, like, some people be like that's pretty cool. We never used glaives during day 1 raid encounters. True, but it was just better for me to run around with a glaive and just poke everything to death than ever consider a single primary in my arsenal. That's pain point number 2. It's just simply weapon sponginess, and that's more shown with primary weapons specifically. Pain point number 3, and I'm going to kind of just gauge you guys on that. Those are the 2 big ones for me. Pain point number 3. What is something that you guys have just greatly disliked about Edge of Fate? All right, so the 2 things, we're supposed to just narrow down on the 3rd pain point. But the 2 things that everyone is saying right now, number 1, Destiny is a grind fest, is what people are saying. Number 2, everybody's memeing on the ball ability, Matter Spark, right? There's a lot of people that don't like the destination abilities, okay? So I guess we can just kind of throw those in together and we'll give you a 0.3 and 4 on that. Some people actually like the ball. No lie. Some people are like, yo, I'm with this Matter Spark thing. I will say this, the grind right now is specifically rough simply because we're starting all from level 10, you know what I mean? Versus like, we're having to work our way all the way the fuck up. Granted, it's pretty fast from 10 to 200, but it gets very grindy from 2 to 300. Then beyond that, it gets even grindier. It's grindy, man. And like, until you really get to, and this is, I haven't reached it yet, but it's until I get to 350. Do I have some good drops that are dropping? Pretty good. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, do I want to save this when I got tier 4s I can eventually get up to and tier 5s? Not really. You know what I'm saying? So like, my entire goal at this point is to get to 350, and that is a substantial grind. Jay did the math before this expansion came out. I completely agree with him. To even get to the point to grind tier 5s, he said 90 hours. I think it actually might be more than that. Not to get tier 5, to get to the point to grind for tier 5. Some people are saying way more, potentially. I'm not going to hit 300 until Renegades. Yeah. There are people at 350 already. Yeah. No, there are people at 400 already. So it's possible. If you just grind, brother. You grind. It's definitely obvious that Bungie is heading more into a hardcore direction. Now, here's the other side of things. Keep in mind, tier 2 loot and tier 3 loot is still very, very good. If you got a mint retrograde and it's a god roll, but it's only tier 2, fuck it, man. Use that. That thing is good. I promise you, you'll be just fine. It's for the people that really want to have tier 5s. And if there is one thing that is accomplished by this grindy ass system, not that I'm necessarily saying I'm going to really be able to give my thoughts on the whole grind experience when I've completed it. But you do covet someone with high gear tier. If I see someone with a fully specced out tier 5 setup, I'm going to be like, damn, I man, I like the hell out of this. You know what I'm saying? There is like a sense of coveting those items. All right. So those are the negatives, right? Let's talk about the positives. And a lot of people are in this stream right now saying there are no positive. Matter of fact, now that we've just dropped a comment, brother, all of it's like, what are you talking about? The whole experience is bad and it's heading towards worse. Like, what are the positives? Do they outweigh the negative? Let me just give you some of my positives. Positive number 1. I thought Bungie did a really good job with the narrative. And I know there are people out there that skip every cutscene. And, you know, there are people out there that they just want to shoot things and kill bad guys. They don't really pay attention to the lore. But I really thought the story was good. And I thought the build up and the setup for what our task is as the weapon going forward, that's laid out great for us. And then the lore that dropped from the raid, even better. So narratively, I think this is setting the stage really good. Vive even threw it in as this, he places it in his top 3 of all campaigns from a lore perspective. No one is sitting, not myself nor Vive for anyone else that enjoyed the story, is sitting there saying, hey, turning into a ball was the greatest thing we've ever done in a campaign. We're speaking purely from the narrative, the new character, Lodi, and, you know, the interaction with Orin, how that all came together, and then of course that final mission. That's the perspective that we're coming from on that one. I think the ball was fun. I think it's an easy thing to meme on for sure, but I think a lot of people, I don't know, dude, there were so many people that were like, is the red subclass coming? Bungie's not hiding that shit, guys. So these destination abilities is all we're getting this expansion. Positive thing number 2 for me, and this is going to be a very controversial take. I like the portal. I know when we first saw it, I will agree. When I first saw the portal, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. What in the mobile game bullshit is this? Guys, I like the portal. I like the portal because I select an activity. I go into it. I have a team. We hit those things. We know what we're going to be getting out of it. I need a class item. I select the activity that's dropping class item. I need some gauntlets or a heavy weapon. I select the activity that's dropping from it. I get the daily bonus drops that double stacks for certain activities. The portal is almost like a game within itself on how to optimize. Granted, most of you just saw us grinding Encore, but what you didn't see is the solo op missions and the other things we did to get the bonus drops before jumping into Encore and just doing just the mindless grind. I also like the modifiers Bungie's added. The Banes and the modifiers are really good. And some of them I haven't fully tested. There's actually like one Bane where it's like every time an enemy in the activity kills you, it becomes stronger, which is insane. But it really makes me wonder, like, what is things going to be like on the super high end? Like, what happens if an overload, like imagine the overload champion that 1v1 Joe. How much stronger could that champion have got? I mean, it was already pretty fucking strong. Every time Joe came back, what would that champion, you know what I'm saying? At what point, and like, how do we even, what's the visual representation? I don't even know. I need to mess around that, but I'm letting you guys know that the portal, even though I was very skeptical about it, I like it, man. I like being thrown into targeted activities. Also in the same vein as the portal, I like that I can play Crucible and get drops from Crucible. If I'm tired of the mindless grind inside of PvE, I can go jump inside of PvP and get items inside of PvP. That's really, really nice. And the portal adds to those drops. I actually think the portal is a big dub and is a great thing for returning players and new players. Now, what I will say about the portal, and Bungie's acknowledged this, is this does not mean you should abandon the destination tab. The fact that they even like remove the coloring from the map and like they almost make it look like you should ignore it. You know what I'm saying? That should not be the case. The destination is Destiny. The destination tab is very much a Destiny thing. That should remain. And that should be upgraded and populated from expansion to expansion alongside the portal. Now, like I said a second ago, like we did the negatives, I want to ask you guys for this last one, what are your positives? If we had to add one more positive to the list, what are your positives that you would add to this from this expansion? All right, so I'm hearing some thoughts. People are saying no more gear time gating. That kind of goes in the portal. The one thing that I like is that grinding is, even though it is grindier, it is simpler. It isn't like go do Gambit for 3 games. Now go do a strike for 3 games. And oh, did you go do that destination activity for 3 activities? If you want to optimize just for one activity, you can roll. Some people are saying that it is solo friendly as well. This, you know, that kind of falls into the portal activity. Solo ops are not the craziest thing, but it's a great way for solo players to get good tier, and especially if you stack the bonuses too. Armor, I'm not going to say armor is a positive yet. And the reason why I'm not going to say armor changes and stat changes are a positive yet. Yes, I love that Bungie's expanded on these things, but I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around the stat changes, because for instance, things that were supposed to be the equivalent to our pre-stats at 70 is actually 85. And then like I'm still trying to figure out like how I feel about the stat system. For instance, also armor. I like the armor changes. I like that we have gear sets. So that's a positive, but there's also the negative of we don't have enough archetypes. And archetypes do lock you into certain categories. And again, that's also one of those things. It's like, do these things flesh out more at tier 4, tier 5? Yes, they do. I can't really make a call on that yet. So it's like good and bad coming with them. I would say for me, and no one's probably going to like this, but I thought the raid was really good. And I thought contest mode was really good. And I know it was difficult. And I know some of you guys, your fire team, got completely shit on. And it was a demoralizing experience, I'm sure. Believe me, we were demoralized going into the first encounter and being stuck there for 12 hours. But I thought the raid was good, man. And it also seems like a raid that I'm going to replay a number of times. I like that Bungie went the approach of the OG Leviathan raid, and they made the raid non-linear. Bungie hasn't done that in a long time. I like it because you could essentially just run in there and choose whichever boss you want to do first. I thought that was cool, dude. I think that, you know, I think that's really, really cool. It kind of goes in the same vein as like the campaign in some ways, by not just being this complete linear experience. The only thing I will say about the contest mode version, about the contest mode version of the raid is you should not be getting tier 1 gear for contests, especially if it's that hard. If it's that hard, it needs to be tier 5. Menu swap should never be a needed thing in contests or any encounter. Yeah, we talked about that, you know, yesterday. I don't know, dude. Somebody dropped a clip this morning of loadout swapping, because there were console teams that cleared, and they showed clips of them loadout swapping. I don't know. I don't play controller, but they were doing it fast. They were doing it really fast. Now, whether loadout swapping is going to be a thing in the future, that's for Bungie to decide, man. They're going to have to figure out how to navigate around those waters. They started doing it with Thunder Doctrine and the not swap modifier. They're not going to do locked loadouts, but they may do not swap. But the game is complex enough, man. That's really the overarching direction that Destiny is going in. It's becoming a bit simpler to understand. You could tell with the name changes. Intellect is no longer super. It's just super. Discipline isn't grenade. It's just grenade. The portal activity onboards you, throws you into the stuff. You know, you have a description there exactly of what your gear is going to be when you exit. But at the high end, specifically loadout swapping for contest mode, the game is it's a bit more complicated, right? It requires a lot. I would say for all the people that I've seen that have done contest mode and clear this past weekend, they agree that this level of difficulty is the direction they like to see Destiny go in. Let me pull up Glad's tweet. Glad actually had a tweet on this. Another Glad elitist take: contest rate should be DPS checks. They should be skulled enemies. Many will enter, but only few would finish. They should reward the best of the best. Desert Perpetual showcased this in many ways. I give Bungie props for having balls. That's not to say that normal players shouldn't be able to play the raid. Without a doubt, normal raids are there. And I do agree that at this point, if contest is going to be this level of difficulty, then normal rates 100% should be unlocked upon clearing contests. I was under the thought process that contest was not going to be this difficult. I thought we were going to return to like almost like a Vow the Disciple difficulty. But Bungie is going this direction where you have to pull out all the stops necessary to clear these encounters. This is the other thing. I'm scared to death. Like, we have something called an epic raid coming in September. I tell you what, dude, I'm just not going to take anything for granted anymore. Like, I went into this raid thinking we were going to clear in 12 hours and it would be all good. And then like 37 hours later, we finally got our clear. So like, I'm going to expect everything here forward. Bungie's going to try to beat our ass. You know what I mean? What's Max thoughts on this? Mac right here. As much as I absolutely love the raid, it did show how much of a QA overall the game needs. Flags not working, sprint bug and counter mechanics not working, desync, certain perks not working. Hell, even my 2-round burst hand cannon was shooting 1-round burst at one point. I'm generally not trying to discredit anyone's work or come after anyone's job. That is not at all what this is meant to be, but a stronger emphasis needs to be put on this moving forward. It makes the game feel like a lower quality product, and that's detrimental to its future. I will say this, Bungie, you're trying to take Destiny in this direction, which it already kind of was going this direction, but definitely more so with Edge of Fate. Bungie wants an approachable looter shooter, but with in-game content like contest mode to be this very competitive environment. But it's hard to introduce a competitive environment like that when you've got bugs that we're having to navigate. The fact that I have to close my game every 4 or 5 hours because I'm worried that my game's going to crash on hour 6 mid-encounter, that's been going on for a year now. The game has got to work right, dude. That's not even just for high end, dude. That's just all the way down, like all the way down the list. It should just work better. Let me just mention this last thing about contest mode. You aren't forced to do it. There is a normal version of the raid. Contest is only for 2 days out of the year. It's not forced content. As a matter of fact, from a sanity perspective, you shouldn't do it. Think about how much time I just committed this past week to this raid. 40 hours. Imagine if I spent that time grinding levels. I could have grinded all weekend, leveled up my character, and then walked into normal mode and had a great time. In terms of loots, you know what I mean? Like, it would have been much better for me to do anything else. This is 2 days out of the year that presents this level of difficulty, and you are not required to do it. I wish we could be incentivized more for sure, as far as like better tiered loot, but you're not required. Let me read this real quick though. For contest mode, raid bosses tied DPS checks are really, really awesome. Those DPS checks requiring multiple loadout swaps mid-phase, not quite as awesome. I think we should encourage game knowledge and execution, not how many times we can hit buttons in a menu. I would much prefer a raid where the encounters locked my loadout when I begin the encounter, as long as the boss HP bars are designed around that idea. These bars feel designed around having to swap. Don't love that. There's a lot of different perspectives on this. Back to our point though, to round out my 3 positives. I think the portal is good, and I think that it's been great to onboard new players, and it's been good for leveling up. And I love that there's no cap on getting gear levels. I thought the narrative was really, really strong. And I thought the raid was really, really good. I would say that the raid and the campaign experience are like 2 of the most important things for me on big expansions. We'll see how things play out over the next few weeks, and especially going to Ash and Iron. I just don't know really how this rollout of content is going to be this year. I don't know if it's going to be better or going to be worse, but we'll just have to see. All right, so those are my 3 positives and negatives, everybody. Will we continue to be playing Destiny 2? Yeah, it's a fun game to play, man. Name me another first-person looter shooter out there on the market that has in-game dungeons and raids and PvP. Until something comes along, this is our jam, man. And I pretty much cycle between this game and Warframe. Those are my games.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.